Tonight, Port Pirie Council offers a helping hand in the wake of soaring power prices. And the young Port Lincoln lad's dream to swim with the sharks comes true.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. First tonight, a $400 million solar farm has received the final go-ahead to continue development on land just outside of Port Augusta. The company has already begun the construction phase, saying it'll be in operation by 2019. Amelia Simpson has more.
While solar thermal has been the topic of the town for the last few months, European energy giant Enel has been chipping away at the development of a 275 megawatt solar farm. The Bungala solar project has received final approval and is set to become the largest solar PV project in the Southern Hemisphere. Located 12 kilometres east of Port Augusta, the plant will be modelled on the company's 180 megawatt solar plant in Peru. The Bungala solar PV project, a partnership between Enel, the Dutch Infrastructure Fund and local developer Reach Solar, will be made up of 860,000 solar panels across 585 hectares of land. Enel says the Australian renewable energy market has a great demand and that it will commit to generating shared value for all involved. Port Augusta's Deputy Mayor Brett Benbow believes it's this demand that has brought the company to the region.
It sets a great example that the push that Port Augusta and the region has done for renewables for the last 10 years has come to fruition. It's a great example of where you can go if you push hard to get there. The Repower Group, they've done a fantastic job, but also council and all councils in the Triangle have done the same thing.
The build is already creating jobs.
I went and visited the Enel site 2 weeks ago. Absolutely fantastic. What those people can do in a short period of time, what they've done out that site is phenomenal. And we also have a lot of Aboriginal employment out of that, doing the fencing contract and things like that. So, as I said, it's a good news story across the board.
The project is set to create over 200 jobs during construction and then 20 in the long run. With construction already underway, the company says it expects the project to be in operation by early 2019.
Meantime, Port Pirie Council is providing households with the opportunity to purchase solar panels at a reduced rate to lower their electricity bills. It comes as the cost of living is continuing to skyrocket in the region.
Paying the bills and running a household is becoming an increasingly difficult task for many across the state. Port Pirie residents know the strain all too well. As energy costs go through the ceiling, Council is now lending a helping hand.
At the moment we're offering, seeking community interest in purchasing a 5 kilowatt solar system with a battery option, or if people already have a solar system, to look at a battery option only.
For those who are either on a benefit or are struggling, that this particular project will help them secure solar panels to their property and reduce their electricity bills, which I think is a really positive move.
Collective buying power means cheaper bills for each household.
South Australia has some of the highest electricity prices in the world, and while the state government has invested in energy solutions across the region, residents are encouraged to take up the offer. Council says the system will most likely be offered as a 4-year payment plan, and if enough residents sign up, it'll aim to get the costs below $19 a week.
I think the current predictions are over the next 2 years power's going to go up by a further 7.2%. So that anything we can do to assist people with reducing their costs of living, I think is important for our community.
The council says it'll help to lower the community's carbon footprint at the same time.
Each household produces about 5 tonnes of carbon each year. The more of solar systems we can get in, the greater we reduce our carbon footprint as a community. So it has clear environmental benefits as well.
Those interested are asked to fill out a form on Council's website, which you can find on our Facebook page. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill's former mayor has hit back at claims the current council inherited civic centre project problems which arose during his management. It comes after the revelation the project's budget could blow out in excess of $1 million.
Winston Kai was mayor of the Silver City in the early stages of the Civic Centre's $5 million redevelopment. During that time, he had no knowledge of any problems with the centre.
The project was started prior to the elections in 2016, but all of the councillors were being briefed on that, and 70% of those councillors are now of the current council. So I'd say that trying to push it back to the previous council is a little bit rich. That was all I was trying to make the point of.
That's in response to these comments made by current Mayor Daria Telly on local radio.
I think the Civic Centre debacle is one that we've inherited, and it's the biggest challenge we had, and the staff are working to resolve it the best they can.
The Civic Centre reopened its doors after the revamp back in May. It hosted 2 events, but it was soon closed due to a raft of problems, including issues with the building's plumbing and lighting, as well as the lack of a fire safety system. It's still unclear when it will reopen.
What I've seen in my lifetime, not only being on council, but in other areas, is that I think it's a 50% contingency. So, I think for us, the one thing I can say, the hardest job is to make sure that we haven't absolutely blown that budget. And that's the one, if we do blow it, it'll be by $1 million, but we're hoping not.
In hindsight, Mr Kai admits having a project manager based in Sydney conducting checks every fortnight was not the best option.
I want it to be open because it's the $5 million being spent on it can bring it to another level.
While she wouldn't speculate on a reopen date, the current mayor maintains her message.
But there are other issues that I can't talk about, but I'm not going to open up a civic centre if it's not safe.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
2 conservation parks on the Eyre Peninsula will undergo burn-offs to help reduce the risk of a major blaze. The Environment Minister says 49 sites will be targeted across the state in a bid to protect locals from a serious bushfire this season.
The mercury has begun to rise around SA as summer approaches. But with the warmer weather comes a risk of serious bushfires which can have a devastating impact on local communities. The state government is now conducting its annual burn-offs in high-risk areas to combat the threat.
Designed to reduce the intensity of fires when they happen, to prevent fire spreading to residential areas, and of course to give our firefighters a tactical advantage.
Of the 49 planned burn-offs, 2 sites in our region have been selected: Munyaroo Conservation Park south of Whyalla and Basecombe Well near Lock.
What we try to do is put burns across our parks, for example, every 7 years or so, just to keep the fuel reduced.
The dates will be determined by weather patterns, with the CFS and state government to notify residents at a later date. Mr Hunter says the planned fire breaks could be the difference between a major fire reaching local communities.
We plan our bushfire burning program to try and protect the firefighters, but also protect our residential areas.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Still to come in tonight's local news, Port Augusta's Sundrop Farms takes out the top gong at the Regional Showcase Awards. Details next. Port Augusta's Sundrop Farms has been rewarded for its hard work, taking out Business of the Year at the Regional Showcase Awards. The company says the gong is recognition for the strides it's taken to integrate into the local community.
The best of regional South Australia gathered in Whyalla on Friday to celebrate all things outside of Adelaide. People, places and faces were honoured for their role in making their part of SA a better place to live.
There's so many diversity and different stories that exist regionally. You just kind of want to uncover all those stories and get them known, and I think tonight achieved that.
Our region had 3 of the 15 finalists. Braden Stockham from Port Lincoln was recognised for his work in Port Lincoln tourism, despite being told he'd never talk after being diagnosed with autism.
And it's quite an honour to be nominated for this award and to be alongside these amazing people.
But the night belonged to Sundrop Farms, who took out the Business of the Year award. The produce company was recognised for the effort it's gone to in becoming a major part of the local community.
For Port Augusta itself and all the region, people get to know about Port Augusta and they start stopping and spending money there.
And there's plans to employ more locals.
We've gone from 10% local now to 58%. My goal is to get to at least 75 to 80% local workforce.
They're such an amazing success story, aren't they, in terms of not just employment, but just the technology that they're using.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The Port Pirie Road Safety Centre has opened its gates to the public as part of Kidtober, an initiative to get local children participating in local activities. The centre is usually only open to school students. Organisers hoping this move will spread the important message of road safety to even younger children.
Having fun while learning.
This is all about children and families coming together to learn road safety rules in a confined environment that's safe.
Children were put through their safety paces, practising bike riding skills while also learning how to take turns by giving way to the right.
Once you've got the confidence on the bike, then they can focus more on the road safety. So we have to gently mix the two together.
Around 80 kids took to the circuit today, which is designed to reflect Port Pirie's roads. Kids under the age of 13 also learnt about the importance of looking in both directions before crossing the train line, with few level crossings in place across country roads.
If we're riding on the road and you don't look at the stoplights, you might get run over or hurt.
It's all about teaching children the road rules before it's too late.
If we can stop one child from riding into a red light or riding out in front of a motor car, then all our efforts are worthwhile.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Port Augusta's Mental Health Clinic is celebrating Headspace Day to kick off National Mental Health Week. The organisation today opened its doors to the public and launched a trial program to help young people into the workforce.
A birthday celebration and a chance to raise awareness of young people's mental health. In cooperation with its 100 centres across the country, mental health organisation Headspace is celebrating its birthday with Headspace Day, including activities and an open house.
So, this morning already we've had parents come through, have a look through the centre, and they see what we offer, the relaxed atmosphere that's here, and it's a great soft entry point.
With 1 in 4 young Aussies experiencing mental health issues, this year's organisers are getting visitors to write down what can help.
We've got some bubbles around here where we're getting people to just write down the things that make them feel a little bit better. You know, you're having a hard day. Myself, I go home and play the guitar for a while, so that's my thing. Everybody's got their own, and we're trying to encourage people to get them out and share those ideas.
A Headspace clinician says routine is important for a healthy mind.
We recommend having some structure and routine in their day, so regular exercise, regular sleep time, eating at regular meal times, as well as having a good support base.
Port Augusta's Headspace today announced that it's one of 14 sites in Australia to trial an employment support service.
It's a free service. It's here for anyone aged up to 25 years. And we can do anything from resume, cover letters, applications, to taking young people out to meet employers, marketing on their behalf and supporting them on the job.
If a success, Headspace says this individual placement and support model could help shape future government policy.
So this is something that's really exciting and something that we really want local employers, schools, service providers and community members to really jump on board and support us with.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, one local lad gets to live out his dream diving deep in Port Lincoln. That's next. What do Neighbours stars do when they're not on Ramsay Street? Hang out in Port Lincoln, of course. Matt Wilson, who plays cast member Aaron Brennan on the famous soap opera, took some time away from filming to spend the weekend in Port Lincoln. It's Matt's second trip shark diving and swimming with the sea lions. He says it's all to help him better understand his character.
If anyone watches the show, you'll realise that our family is actually from Port Lincoln, and we talk about it all the time in the show. We talk about Memory Cove, and we actually make trips off screen to here, but we've never actually been here before. We're just hoping that one day we can actually come down here and get some filming done.
Well, there's some good news for Broken Hill Sweet Tooths, with the Royal Flying Doctor Service Women's Auxiliary starting the annual production of the group's renowned Christmas puddings. Our reporter Patrick Reinke stopped by to see what goes into the process from start to finish.
It's almost the most wonderful and, in this case, the sweetest time of the year.
We do it at the same time every year.
starting on the Monday of the long weekend in October.
It's a labour of love for these dedicated cooks. The first step for the ladies is getting the flour mixture just right. It's then combined with the fragrant fruit by hand and then mixed in with butter, margarine and plenty of eggs. The mixture is then weighed in calico, tied up and then boiled. The last step is to hang it up to dry out, ready for market.
And we're making approximately 2,000 puddings, all going well. And tomorrow will be the last day of mixing and baking.
And the demand for the puddings continues to grow after over 60 years since the first batch was made. And if you want to get your hands on one, you better do so pretty soon.
The Flying Doctor base itself, the Visitors Centre, is selling them for us. So anybody wishing to purchase a pudding this year are to go out to the Flying Doctor Visitors Centre and can purchase pudding from the 23rd of this month. There'll be plenty for sale out there.
The festive puddings would still be a bunch of ingredients if it wasn't for a strong team of volunteers donating their time to the drive.
They're a great bunch of girls. They have other commitments, so, you know, one day you've got a full contingent and the next day you might be missing 3 or 4 because they have to look after grandchildren or do their pottery classes or their craft or whatever.
The puddings will be on sale from October 23rd. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
A young Port Lincoln local has experienced the thrill of a lifetime. The young boy was invited shark diving by Crows captain Taylor Walker, turning one of his dreams into a reality.
When 13-year-old Ethan Bilney wandered down into the Crows change rooms during the club's round 12 game at Adelaide Oval, he thought his dream was about to come true, until this happened.
What's your name? Come on, in you come.
What's your name, brother?
Ethan.
Ethan, you're speaking to the mic. Ethan, how old are you?
13.
Are you from Adelaide?
Port Lincoln.
Port Lincoln. Have you been shark cage diving?
No.
Do you want to?
Yes.
His family, watching on from back home, couldn't believe their eyes.
Well, I think, like the rest of Port Lincoln, just what are you doing there? You know, like you don't usually see the boys from Lincoln on TV.
Also watching on was Andrew Wright, the operator of Calypso Star Charters.
I said to the wife, I said, look, we just got to get this young bloke out. So we put the call out on Facebook and Eddie Betts' wife got in touch with us.
Ethan's wish quickly turned into a reality, one that left him speechless.
Couldn't believe it.
Yesterday, Ethan and brother Kingsley ventured into the deep, the pair nervously hopping into a shark cage.
The weight was lifting him up and I had to keep pulling him down to stay down with me, and he's like pointing up to go up. I was like, no, just staying down with me. So, yeah, it was good.
It was all smiles until they came face to face with a great white.
Yeah, it was big. When we saw the shark, I tapped my brother on the shoulder and then I told him to look, and we saw it and we got scared.
Oh, monsters. Monsters.
The once-in-a-lifetime experience receiving the thumbs up and a message for Taylor Walker.
Hopefully we can get him across to the Adelaide Crows now with all this stuff happening, and hopefully the big text can ask for his autograph.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. Nicole's along with all the weather details next.
Another mostly fine day in Port Lincoln. I'll have all the details for the rest of the region next. Welcome back to the weather now. A pretty sunny day right across the region, but still relatively cool. Reaching a top of 25 in Port Augusta, a touch warmer in Broken Hill, a bit cooler in Whyalla and Port Lincoln with a bit of cloud about for 19, and the umbrellas round in Adelaide, showers for a top of 19 degrees. To the satellite now, clouds stretching across east and south Australia with the deep low pressure trough is generating a few showers and the odd thunderstorm. On the Gulf waters, we're in for north-northeasterly winds up to 20 knots, seas around 1 metre, sunrise at around 6:45, sunset pushing 7:30. Warming up in Port Augusta tomorrow for 33, but showers are on the way. A touch cooler in Whyalla and Port Pirie for 30. A few storms about as well in Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay with the temperature around 25. And looking like skies will be finding up in Adelaide for a top of 25 degrees. Looking ahead, a few storms about in Port Lincoln before it clears on Friday. Similar in Cleve and Woodner with the temperature sitting in the low 20s towards the end of the week. A few showers on the way for Whyalla before clearing up for a lovely 23 on Friday. The odd storm in Port Augusta for 27 on Wednesday, and looking much the same in Kadina for a top of 20 on Thursday. And in Port Pirie, a similar story with showers clearing by Thursday, cooling off towards the end of the week in Clare, seeing the mercury dip down to 18 on Thursday. And in Broken Hill, a top of 30 on the way tomorrow before cooling off to 23 on Friday. So, Fraser, it's looking like the clear skies will soon become stormy across the region.
Change is certainly on the way. Thanks, Nicole. And that's all the news to now. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates a little later on this evening. Until then, good night.